Tom Fury, Zero News. A lot of people have assumed that the people in Greenland are siding with Europe because Europe, I suppose, because of the way the media is portraying it, and because Europe is siding with or virtue signaling on behalf of Greenland, even though they have just the same aspirations of owning it. Do you know, by the way, there's already been 2 previous attempts to buy Greenland by America. This is not a new thing. Anyway, I said to you in one of my other videos that I felt that it was just a strategic thing, and that Russia wanted it and all these other places wanted it. But I felt like it was also like a staging ground, a strategy, shipping lanes and everything else. Well, it's something called the GRUK gap, and it's basically the bit of sea between Greenland to Britain, Britain to France. But basically that is like a line there. And this line, the GRUK gap, is basically if Russia wants to use its navy for anything important, it needs to be able to get its ships out. And if it goes, there's only 2 ways out. One is through this GRUK gap, GRUK gap, or it's through the Black Sea and the Mediterranean, and then through the Gibraltar Straits. Not a chance. A really good navy wouldn't get through there, but their navy is being defeated by a country without a navy. So the chances are almost virtually impossible of them coming through that way, and it's just scientifically a nightmare. So the best hope is the GRUK gap. You've got Starmer talking about war and everything else. And I'll be honest with you, I've considered Britain to be insignificant to Russia. Not even an irritation. But we actually could be becoming an irritation with Starmers, the way Starmers trying to pull us into a war that other people don't want and want peace. But for some reason, this Labour life-loving Prime Minister is desperate to get his country into a war that he can't fight. And that's the big thing. We can't fight a war, whether it was just or not. So he's becoming an irritation to Russia right when they're at war and got their backs against the wall. You've got this stuff going on with America. I think, regardless of America's other motives, I think that while Starmer's poking the bear, I think this Greenland thing makes even more sense than ever, because sooner or later the bear will swipe back. And even if Britain is just an annoying inconvenience, it's still an inconvenience. We still have an armed forces that can intercept stuff trying to go through that GRUK gap. And we've still got stuff that cause some real damage and intel. So we're a problem to that plan for Russia to get out. And that applies to certain other countries too. China to some degree, not as much, but to some degree for certain plans that they could have. The reason why China wanted it as well. And again, obviously for all the other worths that it has, but let's just take them as a given. But that strategic UK gap is a very important thing. And it's exactly the reason why Starmer shouldn't be walking around pissing on peace deals and sort of declaring that he's ready for war. Not only because he can't fight it, but because we're right literally on the front line of where that only strategic gap is. I mean, if America has Greenland, it effectively makes us safe. But right now, we're on the edge of a frontier with nobody in the way to protect us or to take part of the forwards, to side up with anything. We're completely, literally an island. And our destruction would actually be very useful. Or even the neutering of our armed forces, what's left of them, would be completely useful to countries like Russia and that. So Starmer's putting us in a really, really dodgy situation. He's putting this is the man that was disgusted about the comments made about the troops. He is going to get a lot of people killed, and a country already in trouble with its free speech and everything else. He's also going to put it either towards annihilation or to really be slapped down in the world massively, um, in front of the eyes of the world by a country that has just had enough of it existing. And there's very little we could do about it at this moment in time. I'm not saying ever, but right as we stand now, there's very little we could do. And we've alienated just about everyone in the world. So we've also, and this is what the Europeans have done as well. They've bitten Donald Trump's hand and everything else. So the very people that could help are being pushed away, because Europe doesn't have the ability to do very much. I mean, there's some good armed forces inside Europe, don't get me wrong, but who are you going to wait to come save you? The French? Europe as a whole? The whole reason Europe want the European army is because they know they're weak. They wish they had that European army now, because they'd be fighting America with it. Make no mistake, I think they would. I think that, that's why they wanted it. They said we want it as a counterbalance to America. They weren't worried about China or... So there's more going on here than meets the eye. But what I would say to you is, this whole Greenland thing may end up, for us, being essential that it happens, because like I say, Starmers put us right in a position, right in the line of fire, without any shield and without any tactics and without any ability to fight it. And we may end up praying that Trump has Greenland, not even because we want him to or we don't want him to, but because it may be the one thing that ensures our safety, because of our irresponsible Prime Minister, who has put us all in danger for absolutely no clarifiable or ethical reason that anybody could understand. That he was trying to help Ukraine stay at war. Right, okay. So that's the measure of the man who's in charge of us. And as for free speech, I told you when all this started. Just on a last night, I told you when all this started years ago. Free speech was the biggest pillar of freedom that we have, and it's the one that if it was me and I was trying to dominate a system, it's the first pillar I would take out. He's gone for the jugular. I had to verify my age today to use YouTube, my own channel on YouTube, by the way, not somebody else's content, my own content. I had to verify my age. Yeah, I'm not going to go into the list of things, but you know about the pubs and everything else. I'm not going to retread ground that other people have covered. But what I will say is, how long do you think it people are already getting put in prison for what they say online, but how long do you think it comes down to it before every single YouTuber is held responsible for every little thing that they say? If you can't tell a joke in a pub, then why could you tell it on here when you could broadcast to 10, 20, 30, 100 to 1,000 times the amount of people? If it's damaging in a small localized pub, then to them it would be catastrophic to the world, wouldn't it? And this is what you do if you want to snuff out freedoms. You snuff them out in a small way, in a small place, and you say, oh, it's only because of this, but you've set the precedent and you've created the law, which you then just expand to encompass other things, like people's content on YouTube. Well, I'm sure you can do the imagining from there. Even down to the emails you send. This is the real thought police kind of era that we're moving into. This guy needs to be removed. Like, seriously needs to be removed. Because we don't have the ability to do this. Yeah. Pack your bags. But, honestly, someone needs to stand up and do something. And I mean, there are people out there a lot more powerful than us. And I'm not even talking about people in this movement. I'm talking about people outside this movement who actually have interest in not seeing all this happen, who have the power to stand up, but they're too afraid to, because they would see themselves as the tyrant breaking the democratic machine. And they need to wake the fuck up and realize if they don't use that power now, we're all in deep trouble. Look at the amount of different messes that we're being pulled into all at once. It's not a stable situation. It's not one that can be stabilized. It's one that there's too many variables that have all been pulled together at once. We're in a completely unstable situation. The world is, but we are specifically focusing on our country. Everything is on a tipping point or a balance or a breaking point. because it's been either deliberately put there or just callously put there. So you can't have all these different things right on their very edge of existence, their extremes, if you like, and then expect nothing to burst or break or explode. Something's going to. I think Vin might have been right. I sort of dismissed it as being this year at first. When he said this summer could be trouble, I thought, nah, next year maybe. But I think he might be right. The way we're going, one way or the other, he might be right. That this summer could, not definitely, but could be a reckoning one way or the other. It's probably why they're changing so many things now as well, because they know that people won't come out in force till the summer. But they're expecting people to come out and demonstrate and walk around with flags. That might not be what they get, though. I don't know. I truly don't know anymore. It's hard to judge what people are going to do, because you think they're going to explode and they don't, and then when you don't, they do. I don't know. I just know that yeah, you think of all the checks and balances that are not being made at the moment. Like, this guy needs to be removed, guys. This guy needs to be removed by someone with power who can make it legal, if you know what I mean. One way or another, he's got to go. People in this party need to. I mean, there will be people in the Labour Party that are just being jobs worths who will know shit, this is wrong, whether they're socialists or not. There's some people that are only prepared to take it so far. There's different levels of it, and there's people that will be terrified. Believe me, if he's like this on the outside to his countrymen, can you imagine what a tyrant he must be with inside that party? Do you think anybody is walking around feeling safe and secure just because he's making DEI hires? Do you think any of them feel secure in their job? Or do you think every single one of them is wound up as tight as they need to get some balls and get him out of there? Anyway, I'm turning into a rant and a waffle, so I'll shut up. But that's just another thought on Greenland, because while you've got all these narratives going around, it's worth just understanding some really basic fundamental truths about Greenland. And the tactical bit that I mentioned the other day, it's really, really important, because it is massive. It's massive. It's an almost Suez Canal like situation in a way. No, that's probably a bit of a false comparison, but I think some people don't understand what I'm trying to say. Anyway, save the waffle, and I'll catch you soon. Tom Fury, Zero News, calling it a day for now. And I will, like I said, I'm still calibrating in the background. I will get back to lives as soon as I can. Bye, guys.